How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be talking about Family Tree, Volume 3. This one's entitled Forest, and this is once again written by Jeff Lemire. Jeff Lemire, really great comic writer. You may know him for things like Black Hammer, Sweet Tooth, Descender, but also probably my favorite, Gideon Falls. Really good one, check it out. But this features art by Phil Hester, Eric Gapstur, and Ryan Cody, and this was put out by Image Comics. And this is sort of the big, epic, apocalyptic final issue. Brief, non-spoilery synopsis. This one is divided into the past and the future a lot more than the other books have been. We've always got little snippets of the future, but here it's much more prominent. So in the two sections we have the past, and in the past they're sort of exploring the post-apocalyptic world. Megan's killed most of the people, and they're camped out by her tree, and Josh goes out exploring. It kind of feels a little bit like early Walking Dead, minus the zombies, because the tree people don't really move much. They're exploring the world. He meets a few other survivors. There's been a few survivors, either by luck, we'll find out why exactly that is later, or some people are prepared with gas mask and stuff. So there are some survivors, and unfortunately for him, a lot of them are arborists, so they have to figure out how to hide and avoid them, especially with Megan being immobile now. But in the future segments, it's a big final battle, much more apocalyptic action future, and it's grown-up, tough guy Josh versus the last of the arborists, and they have to take him down once and for all and save Megan from being cut down. Now, overall, there's still a lot I like from this run. I really like the characters. Josh and Grandpa are very cool, and I like the characters. They feel really real in a lot of ways. And I like the idea of body horror becoming an apocalyptic situation, and I always love a good apocalypse story, seeing the world all run down and crazy things happening in it. Now, that being said, though, there are some flaws with this book that I feel like I wasn't really thinking too much about. Other people were complaining about them earlier, but I kind of thought they'll fix them in the last volume, right? And not really. I feel like setting so much of those flash forwards in the previous books kind of did spoil where this story was going. And part of me wishes that this was like Scott Snyder's The Wake, where they would just abruptly transition to the future and the last volume would feel like something completely different. But knowing where this is going, and knowing that Megan would cause the apocalypse, you kind of wonder if your heroes are on the right side. You know, earlier, it's clearly an ignorance. You're clearly just trying to save a little girl. Why would that be a problem? Well, surprise, you plant her in the ground and everyone dies. Maybe the arborists were, trying to save the world? I really do feel that if the arborist had a different leader, one that wasn't an evil jerk, and one that would sit down, calmly explain the situation, do a little bit of crisis management and say, look, this is a sucky situation, no one wants their kid to die, but clearly explain the world-ending ramifications of it. But I feel like before, they didn't know. And now that they're trying to cut Megan down, it's like, are we on the side of the trees or something? And they kind of they do say, humanity, they were screwing up the world anyway. It may be, but it's hard to get people to root for the end of the world, and they're really not doing the right thing at a certain point. Maybe I'm reading the book wrong or something, but I totally get where the arborists are coming from, because a ton of people died, and I think it's not really like what they think and why they're doing this. I don't think that they're really wanting everyone to die. I think it's really, they can't bear to let the daughter go. And that's sort of, it's an understandable mistake trying to cling on to something, but I don't think it analyzes, like, if this book had been about the cost of clinging on to something you shouldn't and the pain that it causes, if they made it more tragic in that way, but it doesn't seem to be analyzing it in that direction, And then, yeah, it's just kind of one of those endings where we're like, okay, this is what we're doing, this is what it's building up to. I'm just not sure about the direction. Also, a few things with the characters. Sadly, in the last issue, last volume rather, Grandpa did die, and I realized reading this one, maybe he was carrying the book a lot more than I thought. Grown-up future Josh is cool, and he does have the hand, which he can actually use to talk to Grandpa, and you get to see him some, but man, I think Grandpa really was carrying the book, and because you really do feel his absence. Also, they introduce a new girl, Sarah, I think her name is, and she's a good enough character, but boy, I wish they found a way to introduce her sooner, because it's like all of a sudden a main character comes in the final volume, and I'm like, kind of weird to introduce a character this late. She's a good character, but boy, came out of nowhere towards the end. And I really feel like looking back at this one as a whole, 12 issues wasn't the right length for it. If this was only 6 issues, a lot of the flaws could have been forgiven because it was a short story, and, you're just in and out for the experience, But 12 issues, especially when you stretch it over 3 volumes instead of 2, it makes it feel like it should be bigger than it is. And I feel like if we were going to go bigger, we should have gone way bigger. If you had stretched this out longer than 12 issues, I think 24 would have been a better length. Focus on the quiet, personal moments, make the earlier road trip seem like a bigger, longer road trip. I think if this was bigger and we were allowed to flesh out the ideas and understand the ending a little better and their psychology, because right now it just kind of feels like they're on the wrong side, I feel like that might be better. So I do wish that this story was either longer or shorter, because I don't think 12 issues was the right amount for this one. But overall, I think the ending's good enough. I love a good apocalypse, and I really like some of these characters, but I think it's probably the weaker of the volumes, especially getting rid of Grandpa, and the character motivations weren't fleshed out enough because they kind of are on the side of ending the world, which you really have to explain that a little better, Overall, it's okay. I don't know, I wish it was better. Anyway, if you guys want a little bit of a deeper analysis, I'll switch over to the close-up camera. We can take a closer look at the story and the art and kind of dig into things a little bit deeper. No major spoilers, but if you want a closer analysis, I'll switch to the close-up camera. Alright, here we are inside the castle taking a closer look at Family Tree Volume 3. Bring it close to the camera, we see this pretty cool cover of future Josh coming out of the forest with his big hand necklace there. And we get to see his axe, and right on the edge of the axe they wrote the volume title. Overall, a pretty cool, striking cover. Really do like it, really like the heavy green, which continues on the spine and into the back. This is Family Tree, you're gonna get a lot of green, right? Quotes, synopsis, and then down there at the bottom, the image logo, and we see it collects 9 through 12. So yeah, each of these volumes has been only 4 issues, and I don't know, it kind of separates it up a little more than I think it should be, but I really am rooting for them eventually releasing this whole thing as like a big hardcover that has all of them. I hope they do that. And we see $14.99 US. So yeah, only 4 issues for $14.99. Not the best price ever, but not terrible. And this shot here of the Megan tree, actually taken from the issue, not a cover, but an issue page. And now there's the Family Tree logo with the green vines behind it this time around. Or roots, I guess. And we get the credits here. Once again, keeping with these super vague credits. Art by Phil Hester, Gapstur, and Ryan Cody, without really specifying what they do. I complain about that each time, but if you could please be more specific. I'm pretty sure Phil Hester is the penciler, and if we flip to the bonus features towards the end, inks by Eric Gapstur, which makes me believe that Ryan Cody is probably the colorist, but I don't know why they leave it vague in this book. That always bugged me. But anyway, after that, we're going to jump into the story. I'll show you a little of the story, a little of the art, but I won't be doing any major spoilers, so I'll try to keep this towards the beginning and just do the setup bit, you know? But anyway, we open up with Josh there in the back of the police car, and the cop gets the seeds, which I guess is why Volume 2 was titled Seeds. The cop gets those in his face and turns into a tree person, and Josh will have to try to get out. He's all trapped in there, and we get this nice pullback page where we, zoom out all the way up in the sky, and we see the green just taking over the world. Meanwhile, we get a shot with the mom, and there's a chainsaw man. One of them is changed, and the other's like, okay, I have to take care of this. But the people in the helicopter die, and when that happens, it crashes to the ground in this big explosion. Now, in the tree world afterlife, Grandpa wakes up. It's good to see him again. I thought that the afterlife may just be for the tree people, but apparently it's, I don't know, maybe if you're just adjacent to the tree people, you get to go there too. But he gets to meet Megan and his son, and after a brief reunion, the son says, you can talk to the world of the living through that tree hand you have, and that's where Josh gets to talk to Grandpa. So Grandpa's going to be the person that Josh talks to through the trees, and he tells him how to bust out of the back of a cop car, which makes me wonder, how does Grandpa know how to do that? But anyway, with him out, the mom is still back at the tree base, and he'll show up just in time to save her, and then they'll be kind of depressed camping around the tree for a good little bit until Josh says he's going to go out and get supplies, and that's when he finds that the world is all tree people now, but that's where he finds that he's not the last survivor, and he gets to meet, I believe her name is Sarah, so there are a few other people in the world, and of course, a lot of those are going to be the arborist. But anyway, in the future segments, we get to meet tough, cool guy Josh. There's the person he killed in the last volume, and we get to see Grandpa still talking to him through the hand, but there's more arborist after him, and he has to sort of do this double back maneuver, and he's got a plan already in place to hide in the trunk so that they won't notice him and they'll just run on by, and he can get back to his post-apocalyptic family. And this is actually, when you read the issue chronologically, this is where you first meet Sarah, and you find he's got a little baby now. So a lot to fight for in the future, and the mom's still there, and she says we have to take care of these arborists once and for all, so he has to leave his family by the Megan tree and go and try to take them on. However, it's not going to be quite that easy. There's this one human girl that they find on a swing, but it turns out that it wasn't a real girl, it was just a doll, and this was all a trap to kidnap the mother. She's got a dart in her neck, and now she does the whole just go, leave me here, and she gets pulled away, and now Josh is on his own and has to decide to stay and protect his family, or to go after his mother, and this, of course, all leads to the big epic fight. And yeah, there's a lot to like in here, a lot of the action and stuff, but at the same time, like I said earlier, they're kind of on the side of the trees, you know, so it does, you know, make it a little harder to get into when they have that cool action and stuff, not having as good a reason behind it. And again, maybe there's something I'm missing. Maybe some people are like, oh no, you totally want to be on the side of the trees because of this or this reason I'm not thinking about right now. But at the same time, I don't know. It's cool action scenes with cool characters, but yeah, I don't know. It's just finding, you know, once the apocalypse happens, because, you know, before that they didn't know and the audience knew because the future segments kind of spoiled it. Yeah, I don't know about that. And then also, you gotta miss Grandpa. His presence in those first 2 volumes really did help with this series, you know? And yeah, I don't know, it's a good issue. It's not the best thing ever. And I do wish, you know, like people said, there's lots of flaws with this series and a lot of why did that happen. You know, like we only get the briefest of explanations as to why the trees are doing this, basically, you know. Just a theory, really. And I do wish this was more fleshed out. Like I said, either a shorter story where we don't have time to really question these, or make it more long and drawn out and have more quiet moments. But as it stands, it's an okay finale. A character and world that I like, just not the best tied up. And I guess before we go, I do want to show you the cover of the final issue. I really do like the cover of the final issue. Do you remember the first issue's cover was Megan's head going down, but the last issue cover is her head going up, and instead of roots, it's flowers? I really do like the final issue cover. I kind of want to look for the single issues now and get those back to back. But anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should probably be my family tree playlist. If you want to see me talk about the first 2 issues, volumes rather, those will be in there so you can see my reviews for this series from the very beginning. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.